The apple should not fall very far, should it?
Bridgerton. It's a show that is popular for a variety of reasons. It's got a style that is regal yet modern, a cast that is definitely diverse and able to speak to both classic and modern cultures. And of course, it doesn't hurt that they've cast people whom both men and women are happy to drool over. And naturally, there are those scenes that got many people watching, and then rewatching. Oh yeah. But while it definitely was an experience going and filming Bridgerton, it wasn't always the easiest of things. They had to do certain things and follow certain rules in order to help get through it all. Allow us to show you Bridgerton, strict rules the cast has to follow. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Number 5. Training to be regal. You might look at a show like Bridgerton and think that it's all fun and costumes and reading lines, but that wasn't the case at all. As is the case with many shows like this, there were a lot of things that had to be done in order to nail the accuracy of the era, especially when it came to how the actors were supposed to portray their regal characters. The era in which Bridgerton is set is known as the Regency-era, and as such, everyone had to go to a Regency boot camp to go and learn how to be people in that era. We're not just talking about proper dressing and posture, but how to talk, how to act, how to do things like dancing in that era's style, ride horseback, and more. Regé, who plays Duke Simon, even had to go and get trained in the boxing style of that era, as it's completely different from modern boxing. This also helped him get in shape for the role, something many people happily noticed while watching the program. Even the way in which they spoke was a thing drilled into them. They had dialect coaches to help ensure they nailed the umbrage and tone of someone in the English class they were a part of. Regé noted that he would have to get up at 5 in the morning to get prepped for a day of shooting, and other co-stars actually asked to be kept out of certain parts of the training because they found it a bit too stressful. Now, don't get the wrong idea. There was a lot of fun to be had on Bridgerton, and the cast do love being on the show and working with one another. But they had to work to get it all perfect, and that work wasn't easy. Number 4. Creating chemistry. Look, Bridgerton may have been pitched as a modern take on classic English times, but the thing that drew everyone in was the love stories and love scenes between the cast. Just about every fan has their own favorite lord or lady, and they're never afraid to go and speak as to why they love them so much. At times, it's honestly rather annoying, but we digress. As for the rules, there was something that was told to the cast that was very important for the quality of the show. They wanted to try and make sure that the chemistry between the various couples was as real as possible. To be clear, they weren't trying to set anyone up behind the scenes, but rather they wanted the two to get a feel for one another and build their own relationship that could translate to the camera. For Regé and Phoebe, who plays Daphne, that all occurred during the dance rehearsals for the various ballroom scenes they did together. Due to the complicated moves and length of dances, the two had to work very close together, and as they did, their friendship built. Regé noted that when they were spending hours close together and picking each other up when they fell, it kind of organically grew from there. Phoebe added, "We just spent so much time getting the moves right, and we just got time to play and form a sort of connection." You might not think that this was an important thing, but it is. Because we can all think of TV shows or movies where the chemistry between a couple just isn't there, and the whole point for their relationship being in the script suffers as a result. Being that half the point of Bridgerton is the relationships that the various characters get into, that really wasn't an option here. So you can understand why they had to go the route they did to build up a natural chemistry for it all. Number 3. The costumes. Looking at the cast of Bridgerton within their actual roles, you'll see that there are a ton of costumes and wigs that can be found upon them. Queen Charlotte is a perfect example of this, as she had a menagerie of wardrobe items to put on throughout the show. They're pieces of beauty, you know, stand-out, beautiful pieces on their own, her actress says. Wearing them sometimes was a challenge, I'll be honest. The weight of them is quite something. But keep yourself fit, eat healthy, a lot of core muscle and back muscle exercises. And you know, they're a pleasure to wear, I say with a little twinkle in my eye. But wait, there's more. If you pay attention to the outfits the characters wear, you'll notice there are a lot of them overall. That's because over 7,500 costumes were made for the first season of Bridgerton. They wore a different dress to every ball, aside from the amount of dresses that would take place from morning till dinner, said costume designer Ellen Mirojnick to Harper's Bazaar. So we knew that roughly this was going to be a large endeavor. And the cast were very much made aware of this endeavor, but many have noted that wearing the costumes was the hardest part of the gig. Especially for the ladies because, as was common at the time, they had many layers to their outfits that couldn't be skimped on, and as the Queen noted earlier, that meant they were heavy. which is something you don't need on your mind when you're supposed to be doing things like dancing, acting, and so on. One actress was having such a hard time in the heels that she had to wear for her character that she constantly fell down. Even at one point stabbing a co-star with a parasol because of how she fell, and she drew blood. Oh, and how about for the men? Well, they didn't have it much better. Jonathan Bailey talked about how his dance garb was incredibly unforgiving, especially when he had to go and do very physical tasks like riding a horse. So again, while the show was fun and they all admitted that they looked great in the garb, it wasn't the easiest thing ever.
Like, you go in, they have a warehouse full of the costumes and everything. You pick out any random dress, the detail on it. Like, each one of these flowers that I have on this dress is handmade.
Number 2. Bedroom scenes equals stunt scenes. Okay, we can only dance around this for so long. One of the things that got a lot of people to go and watch Bridgerton was the steamy bedroom scenes that happened between various characters. A highlight for many fans was the honeymoon scene between Simon and Daphne. As we noted earlier, the chemistry was a key part of the show, but those scenes were also key and honestly had to be rehearsed as if they were stunts. No, really. They had what is known as an intimacy coordinator brought in to work with Regé and Phoebe so that they could know the moves and practice them before declothing and going at it for real, or real in the TV sense. Here's a fun fact. Phoebe's first scene that she actually filmed for Bridgerton was her steamy library scene with Simon. Pretty interesting, no? Intimacy coordinators are super important in modern shows, because by filming sexy scenes as if they were a stunt, the actors are able to relax and know what's going to happen and not just be told to do the scene. Phoebe noted it was freeing, and she's very proud of those scenes. And the fans are probably also very proud of those scenes. Just saying.
I burn for you.
Number 1. Keep a straight face. Any show that gets filmed is never going to have everything done right in one take. Something will always go wrong. That's just the way it is. But for the cast of Bridgerton, they're told to keep a straight face, even when it's pretty much impossible. Regé gave a great example of this during the carriage scenes. While they may look like they're being filmed in a moving carriage, they're not. They're sitting on a soundstage. And he found it pretty hard to keep a straight face when he knew that crew members were pushing the cart and making horse noises. Speaking of horses, another scene that caused a laugh track in real life was one where Jonathan and Phoebe were about to ride horses for a scene. When action was called, the horses started going backward instead of forward. They did their best to keep going with the scene, but eventually broke out in laughter. Sometimes rules are made to be broken. So what do you think? What do you think of this look at Bridgerton and the various rules that the cast had to follow? Do you look at these rules and understand why they had to be followed? Do you think that some of them were too strict? Or do you think they were okay? What are you most looking forward to in the next season of Bridgerton? Let us know in the comments below, be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the channel.